Party
Cross.
Hi, my name is Anna.
And I'm Peyton.
And today, what are we doing today?
Today, we are back with Island Week episode 2, and we'll be watching 2 more requested videos.
So, both of these videos are from the Cami test round. Again, I'm sorry, we don't really know about how the show worked. So for the 2 videos, we are watching the full versions. So it doesn't cut to the reaction shots and everything. So the first one is Cami test. Park Sung-won, Yang Jung-won, Lee Hee-seung, Jake, and Kay doing Flicker. Let's go! Red lights. Ominous. Is the volume really quiet on this again? So, out of everyone in this group, I think Lee Hee-seung is the only one we haven't seen yet after yesterday's video.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen him yet.
Yeah. Oh, they have the curtains.
That was cool though.
His voice is nice. He was in the dance group.
So. Did we see Jake yesterday though?
Oh no, we didn't.
Okay.
I just remembered reading his name during reaction shots for the dance.
All of their body styles go really well together, like the way they move.
Their voices work very well together too. Like the group singing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get why they grouped them together for a Cami test round.
Cami test. Pass.
Yeah.
Oh. Were they gonna dance with canes? Or strings?
No.
That's strings, never mind.
Yeah, ribbon or something. That rhythm is interesting though. Let's look at it.
Interesting.
Lee Hee-seung. I like his voice. Especially in that last line. Oh, wait, that was really satisfying to watch just then. Oh, that's it?
Is that it?
Oh, that's how
I'm
it
kind of
ended?
sad that was it.
Right? I expected
wanted
it
to
to
go
be
on.
more. Wait, I feel weird
Wait, what?
that Wait.
So first thing I want to talk about, the curtains that they used on stage. I thought they were a really interesting touch to the dance because I don't honestly think that you needed them for the dance to be interesting because for the most part, it didn't affect the dancing they were doing. But it was a really cool moving background. It allowed them to have some more interesting stage pictures. Like in the second verse when they used the curtains to make a square and then they're shooting around as the members are kind of stepping out of it. That's just a more interesting stage picture, and they could have done something with the same choreography that they were using without the curtains, but because the dance itself was pretty repetitive, it let them kind of break it up a little bit. So I thought that was a really interesting choice. Second thing, the group had really good musicality. And Anna, at one point you even pointed out, you were like, oh, that was cool in the chorus when they were dancing and they hit the little beats and stuff. And it was examples of things like that, or when they did the more sustained movements and they would pull their leg around and hold it and then go really fast into the next thing. They had really good musicality. So that was really enjoyable to watch. Also, something else that I really liked about it is they used so many different facings. And that's something that I feel like I don't see a lot in K-pop because most of the time you're facing front, or if you want something interesting, you'll turn around and face the back. But especially the first chorus, they were all facing different angles to start it. And that was just really interesting because for a non-K-pop dance, when the focus isn't on like the singing and showing your face, that's something you see a lot. And also then they all turned and came to the front at the same time, and it was like, oh, enough of a change that my eyes are still interested, that I'm still keeping like involved in the dance without needing some big moment to like draw you back in. And because the song itself isn't super high energy, it like kept the dance interesting that they were using the different facings. So I really liked that. And then also, like I said in the reaction, they all match dance styles very well. Like from what I could see on stage, they all have pretty similar builds and body styles. And when you're doing like a core dance or a group dance where you're trying to match, that's one of the more important factors, because if you're built the same way, when you do the same movement, it's going to look more similar than if you're not built the same way. So they matched dance styles really well. They looked really like good together while they were dancing. They used similar facial expressions. So for a Kimi test, it was a really good grouping. My last comment, I was just kind of disappointed when it ended because I wasn't expecting it to end and I was enjoying what I was watching. And so it ended and I was like, that's it? Is this just like a silence? Or is it going to keep going? But it wasn't. It was just over. Anna's turn.
So yeah, same as Peyton, I was also just like, it's over? What? As you could see in our reaction. But going on with the rest of my comments, I know, his name is in English, it's Jake, but based on his diction in the song, I was like, he is a fluent English speaker, where is he from? His vowels weren't exactly like super pure. When I say pure vowels, that means that when you pronounce the vowel sound, it's not a diphthong. And a diphthong is when you have to like separate it into two syllables. So in the Korean language, it uses only pure vowels. A, o, u, i. All those are only one syllable. But the way that Jake was pronouncing, the way he was singing it, his diction, part of it was a stylistic choice to fit like the concept of the song, because it's a little, I feel weird because I know how young they are. It's like a little more mature. So there's a lot of like leaning into words and a more biting quality with the ending consonants as well. But another part of it was just like, oh, this is how like an English speaker would say it. Yeah, so sorry I'm talking about diction again, but that's something that caught my eye or ear. Another comment that I had was Yang Jong-won. I remember him from when we watched the dance medley, and in this video he feels so much older. And like part of it is due to the styling, because once again the concept of the song is like more mature, they're all wearing suits. But another part is his facials got so much better. Another thing I said in the reaction was I really liked Lee Hee-seung's voice the most, the way he was singing it, because he also had more stylistic choices than some of the other members. Personal preference, I just like the way that he sang his lines. Okay, it's hard to explain. But like I mentioned in the reaction as well, their voices work really well together. And we looked up the round, it said that Hee-seung got to choose which members he wanted to be in his unit for this performance, and I think he chose very well, because Peyton was saying like their dancing and their styles work very well together and their voices suit each other very well, because they all blend together very well. That doesn't mean that they don't have distinct voices, because like they do, but when you're singing with a group and an ensemble, you want to listen and match tones to the people you're singing with. So although there are distinct voices, it works well together and no one voice is sticking out too much, and you can like pinpoint them and be like, oh, that's different. And I think that's very good for a chemistry test, because they're trying to show like a solid unit. We are one force together. So yeah, next.
Okay, so the second video that we are watching is the other requested Chemi test, and it is Dive Into You with Kim Sunwoo, Nikki, Daniel, Jay, Taki, and Hanbin. Let's go!
That looks more hip-hop. Have we seen him yet?
I don't think we've seen Sunwoo yet.
Yeah.
Or Taki.
Yeah. We saw
We've seen
him.
Hanbin, yeah.
Yeah.
I like his jacket. Oh,
Wait,
Nikki's a really good performer.
He's rapping for this instead of singing.
Yeah.
But I really liked his singing. Children, please. Sorry.
He's singing and rapping. He's doing both.
I'm assuming Jay is the center?
What's the light for?
Oh. Oh.
Interesting.
Oh.
Oh, they're.
Oh. 아 진짜.
I mean, it's a good move for what's happening in the song, though.
I know. I get it.
Oh, I'm glad they're using the set. Otherwise, I would have been like, why is it there?
Oh. They're doing a lot of floor work, though. Or like getting on the ground a lot. Interesting. The group sing ending is interesting. He's just smiling.
He was
when the rest of them were like really intense. Wait, that's so cute.
So I am actually going to start with my one comment so that I can move on to the things that I really liked afterwards. But I was just gonna say, this is a good example of why in most K-pop choreographies for songs, you usually change one of the 3 choruses, because for this, they use the same point move for all of the choruses. And that's just because by the time you've seen it 3 times, you kind of start to get like, oh, I expected it. Oh, there's nothing new here. And it wasn't that by the time they did it the 3rd time, their energy was down or anything. It was just by the time I had seen it the 3rd time, I was like, I wanted to see something else. And I get because this isn't a song they're promoting, and also it's time constraints because it's a competition show, and the whole point is a chemi test, so they're trying to show how well they work together. So if they do that part really well together, keep it. But at the same time, from a choreography standpoint, I was kind of like, I wanted something different. But things that I liked. So first, prop-wise, they also used props to break up the stage a little bit, and I really enjoyed the use of the light sticks because it went with the theme really well, because first of all, their clothes have that highlighter neon feel to them, and then the stage prop, it's not like a bench, but whatever they were sitting on also had the graffiti on it, and it's just a really cool way to break it up. So first they they used them as a clock, and then they took them down and they danced with them, and it was cool because as they were turning, they turned on. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I kind of wish they had danced with them for longer. And so when they gave them away, I was like, oh, that's it. But then they brought them back for the bridge. And I was like... And then also, I felt like this stage was a good example of them being young working for them. Compared to the other chemi tests that we watched, where we know that they're young, but they kind of were giving off that older, more mature vibe. The members felt their ages here, but I didn't think it was a bad thing, because sometimes when you watch a stage and you're like, oh, they're young, they're either trying to be super duper cute, almost acting younger than they actually are, or it's like, oh, they're young, I'm not sure, this kind of makes me feel weird. But it felt like for the song they were doing and the concept they had gone for, it worked in their favor to be performing as if they were their age, because they were giving off that teenage young bravado, that the confidence that you only have when you were that age, and it really worked for the concept. So I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And then also, this is more of a personal preference, but I said it in the reaction, and Nikki is just a really good performer. like even when I rewatched it just now, like he's just a really charismatic performer. I would probably say he's got that natural born like stage presence, and it's not that the others aren't good performers, because like they obviously were giving their all, they were doing a really good job, but when he's in the center, like you don't really watch anyone else. So like he's just a really good performer, and the fact that he is so young just makes me think like, wow, how like good is he gonna be in 5 or 6 years when he's got so much more experience. So that's all I have to say. Anna's turn.
My first comment, which is like the biggest general comment that I have, small disclaimer before it, what I'm going to say, it's not to like discredit the efforts of the team for the other community tasks that we watched, but it's something relating specifically to this team, considering that this is a competition show and like given the time constraints that they have with it as well. That being said, my comment is that this song itself, Dive Into You versus Flicker, already puts this group of people at a disadvantage when it comes to something like a chemistry test. A song of this style is much more Cypher-esque, where it's like about showing individuality and like your own style. So having a song that focuses more on individuality for like a group unit chemistry test is really difficult, because as a group, being able to show both individuality and unity is something that comes with a lot of experience and practice with the same group of people. Because Peyton has said before too that like with performing and dancing, even if you just add one extra person, that still requires like time and work to readjust. Also, vocally, there are some really like unique tone colors in this group, so already vocally it's more difficult to like adjust and balance, especially if you haven't had like more choral training to learn how to blend tones. So that's why I'm like, oh, like it's not that this was a bad performance, but when you compare the two for a chemistry test, I'm like, y'all. That being said, Peyton, you talked about how Nikki really caught your eye. I think for me, the person who caught my eye the most was Jay. I even said like, oh, I'm assuming he's the center in the reaction, because I don't know if he actually was the center, but he did have a lot of parts, and I think he pulled off all of those parts very well. But also like whenever you got a shot of his face, the like look in his eyes, you can tell he's on a survival show.
Yeah.
It was like desperation, like I will fight to the death for this.
I will not be left behind.
Exactly. It just really caught my attention. But someone who caught me off guard, because this was our first time seeing Kim Sun-woo. I really like his voice. It has a very nice tone. I think there's still a lot of like potential and training to be had, but just like basic voice tone quality, it's really nice, especially in the Korean market. It's like a voice color that the general public would really like. He was real cute. I was like,
He was real
oh.
cute. Just
Because he like smiles at the end of his first part. I was like, oh my god, you're a baby. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Anna, will you give us the TLDR?
So, End of Island Week episode 2, and this episode we watched the chemistry tests. It was really interesting to see how the members, trainees, were grouped between the two songs and how they adapted and worked together to pull off these performances. But yeah, that means that for Island Week, there's only one episode left. Guess what we're gonna watch? JK, you'll find out in 2 days.
Alright, that being said, if you enjoyed this video, if you also enjoyed the chemi tests, then please leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and bye-bye.
Bye.